Hello friends, welcome back. Want to fetch the Azure AD B2C users details securely? In this video, we will set up the app registration, configure the API permissions and call Microsoft Graph API from .NET Core to retrieve the user data. Come, let's dive in. Alright, so first let's take a look at the demo and I'll explain you the scenario for why we are doing this. So this is the application that we are referring to. So users can come, register, and they can take up the exam, right? So there are many users who's going to come to this website, but I wanted to know how to get the information of the user, because currently whenever the users comes and sign up or sign in, they'll be part of my AD B2C tenant, which I'll show you. So this video is to fetch the user's information from my tenant and then put it into my database and then do some action. Maybe I can give some special permission. Maybe I can use that for sending notification to the users. So those kind of things. So that's the real-time scenario, right? So we have a solution to use the Microsoft Graph API to do this. First, let's take a look. This is the portal.azure.com. So I have logged in with my email ID, which is learnsmartcoding@gmail.com. So when you also log in for the very first time, right, that is where you belong to. That's your default tenant. But we were building the video series for the full stack development, and we are referring to Azure AD B2C. So if you click on this and say switch directory, we have many directories. At least I have many directories. So for example, right, this is the main directory. This is my email ID to which my primary login exists. And then I created, learn. And then for the application that we are building, I created a tenant called Karthik Smart Certify on Microsoft.com. Similarly, long back with the other full stack video series, I was able to build a learn smart coding I was able to build. So with the previous full stack development video, I was able to build another tenant called Learn Smart Coding. Similarly, for the online course enrollment, I was using the Smart Learn by Karthik, right? So I have different tenants. Now, the thing is, based on where you landed, like if you have studied all of these things, then probably you would have logged into all of these things. Let's say there were many users from our channel where they are practicing online course enrollment application or the restaurant table booking app. Either way, they belong to one of these tenants. So let's take a simple example. I'm going to go to this Karthik Smart Certify on Microsoft.com. So I'm going to switch this, and this is our Azure AD B2C tenant. Okay, so this is where we configured our .NET Core and Angular application, and then all of this authentication authorization works magically, right? If you look at this Azure AD B2C, if I click this, you will see the app registration that we did. For example, see app registration that we did, and there will be something called users. If I click on users, if there are any users, then users will come here. So this was just a sample application. So with this tenant, I just have one user, but let's switch and see what other tenants I have. So for example, the famous is, I think, the Smart Learn by Karthik, and I'm going to go inside and see how many users are there. I'm going to hide all of those users from you guys, but so I switched it and I'm going to go to Azure AD B2C. Again, same thing, go to users. For this tenant, right? So remember this, we are at Smart Learn by Karthik. If I just click on it, you can see this is alright. So this is Smart Learn by Karthik, right? So you can see under users, I have these many users, right? So many valid users. And the good part is, either it is local account or they would have used the IDP account. Now, my point is, I wanted to fetch all of these users, and I'm going to use the Graph API. And if you look at this Smart Learn by Karthik, let's take a look at this. I'm going to log off and I will explain you what I meant. So if I try to log in, this is coming as Smart Learn by Karthik, right? Is this matching here? Smart Learn by Karthik? Yes. So whoever is going to use this is going to come and sit under this tenant. Okay, so that is why this graph API is very important to read information about the users. Now whatever we are going to do, that is applicable for the Azure AD also, which is Entra ID. There also you can do the same thing. Users could belong to your own company like a tenant. There also we can read. Concept is same, it's just about where you configure this. Okay, now pay attention. I'm going to show you quickly the code. That code is not important, because if you come to github.com/learnsmartcoding, you will get to see the coding. So if you just go to repository and search for smart, you'll find the function, UI, and the .NET Core backend. So don't worry about the coding. Okay, so let's take a look at the coding first. So this is the code that I'm going to open it. So here we are following the clean architecture. Whoever is following this video series, they will know we are following the clean architecture principle. And if you look at this, we have something called graph API. Okay, we have two servers, and where is this interface? It is here. So under this we have an interface called graph auth service, which is just taking the token, and there is another one called a graph service, which is fetching the users. Now if I go here, okay, and I will see both of them. So if I go here, what it is doing for the auth service is doing only one simple thing. Okay, it is going to collect some information called tenant ID, client ID, and client secret. So it is going to collect all of this information from our local, which is here. It is going to collect from here, and then so it is going to collect the information from here, and then it is going to make use of it. Okay, so now let's assume what it is doing. So it is making a form URL encoded content with a key value pad. So it is saying grant type is client credential flow. That's why it is client credential. Our client ID, client secret, and scope. Scope is this one, graph.onmicrosoft.com. Sorry, graph.microsoft.com/.default. Okay, all what it is doing is it is making a post call, HTTP post call, and getting the token for further work. Okay, once it gets token, we are going to use this service. What this service is doing, again, this service is going to call a particular endpoint, which we will debug and see. Okay, so it is going to take a particular endpoint. First it takes a token, and then with the token, it is going to fetch the, it is preparing the URL, and then it is making a call, like it is preparing a header with the bearer, and then token, whatever token we got, it is calling this endpoint. Once the content comes, all what we are doing is we are deserializing it to this type. This type means the value is returning in this way. Okay, so it is returning this way, and then we will insert those information like the users into the and then what we do, we just format the content and send back the information. But the good part is I already have something called background service, which I was explaining it in one of the video. What this background service is doing is this is making use of this service behind the scene every single day. It is going to see whether new users have come, and if users have come, it is going to translate into the database. Okay, so now this part is done. Now what we are going to do is, we need to fill up this information. Where is the tenant ID, client ID, and client secret? So we need to fill up all of this information. So that is what we are going to do. So I'm going to go to this AD B2C and go to the home page, and then go to the app registration. Okay, we are going to register a new app. There might be several apps like this, but we are going to make sure that we do it correctly. So you come here and click on app registration. So we are saying just a name. Okay, and then because we are dealing with only this tenant, in this case we have to choose the first one, single tenant. Tenant means this one. Okay, we are dealing with this tenant, so we will choose this one. We don't need to redirect URI, grant admin consent, register. Once you register, it's very easy. Under the overview, there's something called client ID. I copied this. I am coming here and pasting it. tenant ID, which is the directory ID. So come here, paste it. From where this client secret is coming, let's do that. Click on the certificate and secret and click on add new client secret. Just name it like user info. 180 days is the recommended one. Okay, because after that it will expire. You just need to change the value. And if you remember this is the value. See, it clearly says if you don't copy it, if you go navigate from here, this will be gone. So copy this. If you go here, we come back. Okay, after that it won't display. So I'm gonna paste this. All good. Now let's debug. I'm going to run this and see what happens. So the application is running. I'm going to copy this host. I ran this in the Swagger, and if you see under users, there is something called this one. I just created an endpoint. Okay, so this endpoint we are just gonna say try, and before that, let's go to this endpoint under the controller user. There's something called with email, right? So we will put a breakpoint over there, so it'll be easy for us. So I'm gonna expand this, and it's a simple one. I'm going to put a breakpoint, hit on execute. The breakpoint is hit. Let's go one by one. So it's going to the auth service first. Look at this. If I go inside, taking the tenant, whatever we just created, and then it is firing a call. It is going to get the response. See, it got the token. All right. So let's go here. Token is sent. Now it is preparing the endpoint. Now if you look at this is the endpoint. So basically we are saying it's graph.microsoft.com/v1 whatever here. After that users and question mark, we are putting a query so that it fetches all of this information. Okay, ID, given name, surname. You can put many other stuff also, but these are the one that is mainly required. So I will close this. It is going to call. And let's see what happens. It is trying to call with the token that it has. And if you think what will happen, let me know in the comment section right now, because I'm going to reveal it. There is an error. It says we have a 403 forbidden error. It doesn't have. So let's go inside. Let's see what is the content. See, it clearly says insufficient privilege to complete the operation. What am I missing? Yes. So it's not just about the configuration that we did here. There is something important that we need to give. So we are saying this application registration that we did needs permission to access the users. So in order to do so, go to this API permission, and this is the important piece. Click on add a permission. Here, if you watch the Azure AD B2C authentication demo, probably we would have used these two to fetch the internal application IDs, right? In this case, we need to give permission to the Microsoft Graph. So under Microsoft API, there's something called Microsoft Graph. Click on it. And we need to give permissions in these two. What permissions we have to go? We go to delegated permission and search for users. It's case sensitive, so type users dot read. So if you type user, you can come here, there will be users here. So here we need to give permission. What permissions we need to give? We need to give access to user.read. We need to give access and read basic. Okay, and then read all, and then these three, and then there's one more. There's one more called directory. So type directory and you will see something called directory. So before you give directory, just say add permission. It is adding. Again, click on permission, click here. Now type directory. So if you filter directory, D is here. Under directory, we need to give access to read. Add permission. So we have added directory.read, user read, read all, read basic. See, we have added this, but it's not done yet. Click on again add permission, click on Microsoft Graph. Now click on application permission. Here again same thing, user. If you type user, so if you type user.read, the user is filtered, and here we need to give user.read all. Add, and then there's one more thing. Click on again add permission. here directory.read.all, expand it, click it, add permission. After this, the next important thing is you need to grant admin consent so that everything will become green now. Okay, now that's it. Let's go back and execute this. Again, it is coming here. We got the token. Come here. Now let's see what happens. We got the response. See, now this time we had enough permission and we got all the users. So if I expand this users, or I will just run it out, and you will see response here. See these many responses. So now this way we can fetch the users, and if you configure this in all of your tenant ID, you'll be able to fetch the users from the in the directory, the users from the tenant directory. All right, so there is a possibility that if any of the IDP requests, like IDP means non-locally saved accounts, for example, they might have used Google or Facebook, those kind of things, generally AD B2C will not reveal it. It will store internally in a different format, so those kind of users you will not fetch it. But anyone who registered with their email ID into our local account, we will be able to fetch, and that's how we send, that's how we use the users information to do some action. All right, so this is a good example for Azure AD B2C. Using the Graph API, we'll be able to manage the users. This video just talks about how to fetch the users, but in fact you can actually reset the password and you can do a couple more informations against the user. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button. If you have any questions or suggestions, do let me know in the comment section. Your feedback is more valuable, so stay tuned with the series of videos. At the end of the series, you'll become a very good full stack development. Will have extensive knowledge on Angular, .NET Core, clean architecture, Azure and Azure services. So I will see you in the next video, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more tech tutorials. And don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified when we post new videos. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below. Happy coding!